This is Chris McKinney, and I wanted to talk about how to read the Assembly and Senate daily files. Now, keep in mind that the daily files, just like the daily journals, the weekly histories, and other legislative publications like the Index and TOSA, are available on the LegInfo website, which is maintained by the Office of Legislative Counsel. Also, you can access these publications directly from the Assembly and Senate websites. Nonetheless, I'm kind of old school, so I like to handle the hard copy documents. So this is what the Assembly Daily File looks like. This is the one during the recess listing committee hearings. Same with the Senate one. So they use their logo, and of course it says Senate file and the list of the officers, and then when it was published. So here it's Thursday, December the 21st of 2023, the Assembly file, and published Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, with its officers listed there. So what do the daily files have? They're like Bibles if you're in the legislative process. To begin with, they both have tables of contents at the beginning of them. Both the Assembly and the Senate do. Here's the Senate one as well as the Assembly. So the Senate contents: officers of the Senate, the order of business, the members of the Senate, including names, addresses, and phone numbers, the Senate floor seating chart, standing committee membership, committee on legislative ethics membership, select committee membership, subcommittee membership, joint committee membership, weekly committee schedule, the budget subcommittee schedule, the legislative calendar, the holiday schedule, and then getting into the hearings. The only difference between the recess file and the regular daily file during session is the fact that you'll have what's on second and third reading with a brief history of each measure, bill, resolution, or constitutional amendment that's on the second or third reading file that day. How about the contents from the Assembly side? They have Assembly order of business, the Assembly seating chart, then the legislative calendar, Assembly member room number and phone list, standing committee membership, subcommittee membership, select committee membership, special committee membership, joint committee membership. They have the 31st day after introduction, a table that lists every bill that's introduced and when, because the Constitution requires it to be in print for 30 days before it can be acted upon. So they list the 31st day, meaning the day it's eligible to be acted upon. Then they have committee hearings with committee hearing notices. And then both of them have an index at the end of the daily file so that you can actually find the bill number and it lists like what file item it has. So here's the first page. This is the actual order of business in the Assembly, along with the listed officers. Same thing on the Senate side. We have the officers of the Senate, and then we have the Senate order of business. And then we have a two-page listing in alphabetical order of the senators, along with their addresses, for example, their district office. Then you have the actual floor seating arrangements there. Likewise, on the Assembly, their floor chart is right after the order of business. And then they go to the calendar, including any notices such as the Joint Rule 61 calendar deadline notices. And they have the tentative schedule. And once they list the tentative schedule for the year, then they have their directory, not with all the detailed, district office addresses and their district representation like the state Senate does. They just have their names and their room numbers in the swing space and their phone numbers. Then the Senate goes to the standing committees, and you can see it lists the committee members themselves in order of the committee, the number. So like here, 4 members of Senate Agriculture. The chair and the vice chair are always listed first, then the remaining members in alphabetical order, and then the committee consultants and assistant along with the phone number and the physical address. On the Assembly side, they do precisely the same thing. Listed in alphabetical order. First one is accountability and administrative review. 7 members. Currently, the chair is vacant. Dixon is the vice chair. Then the rest of the remaining members in alphabetical order, along with their committee staff and their physical location at 1020 N Street, room 357, and with their phone number. And so it has several pages of those committee memberships, including the joint committees. Then the assembly lists the 30-day in print chart. So you can see on the first day that they were in session, December 5th, they had ABs, they had 56, 1 through 56, plus 2 ACAs, 2 constitutional amendments. When can they be acted upon? The bills on January the 5th, 2023. So that's the day in print rule. On the Senate side, after all of the committees, the standing committees, the select committees, and the joint committees, then they have their weekly hearing schedule. Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursday mornings for the budget and fiscal review committees. And then they have their tentative legislative calendar from the beginning, January 1, 2024, when statutes take effect, all the way until the following January 1. They also list the remaining holidays for the year. So in January, it'll list the whole year's holiday. When it gets updated, they take out the others. And then lastly, they get into the committee hearings. And you'll see that, of course, it has the date when they'll meet, the name of the committee, Human Services, and the chair when it's meeting, 3 p.m. or upon adjournment of session. The location, 1021 O Street in room 2100. They may have any information. And then the agenda. The Human Services Committee in the Senate on Monday, January the 8th at 3 p.m. has one bill, Senate Bill 875, and they may give information such as bills heard in file order, perhaps in sign-in order. Different committees do different things. And then at the end of that, then we'll get into the actual bills that are on second and third reading. Again, the Assembly does the same thing. So the first hearing that's listed, Wednesday, December 13th for this one. Assembly Insurance, Calderon Chair, 1 p.m. This is actually out of town, not at the Capitol. At the Pasadena City Council chambers on Garfield Avenue in Pasadena, they're doing an oversight hearing. So it's titled Oversight. It gives the topic, California Department of Insurance Sustainable Insurance Strategy. And they may say something like, for this committee hearing, all witness testimony will be in person. There will be no phone testimony option. And yet they usually give, for example, the website address for the committee so that you can contact the committee. And after the committees are listed, then you have what basically looks like the history because it lists with a file item number on it, but it actually lists the bill with its history. So for example, it really does look like this, AB 85, with the author, the co-authors, the title, including the relating clause, and then the history up to that point, and then it'll have a file item, and that's for measures that are on the second or third reading. And those are the final sections, substantive sections. Again, at the very end of the daily files in the Assembly and Senate, you'll have a little index. So you could actually look for a bill number and it says AB 50, file item 25 that day. And so obviously the daily files change each day that the legislature has a session or check-in session, either a floor session or a check-in session. So that's how you read the daily files of the California State Senate and State Assembly. I hope this was helpful to you.